It goes without saying that life can be pretty hard, which is why we love to get lost in the high-intensity drama of modern television shows. So if you have some free time and have no idea what to do with it, stay right where you are, as we're about to explore the newest teenage TV shows currently streaming. Number 1. Euphoria. First up on our list is a television show that struck up some controversy a few years ago. It was labeled as something that was too mature for teen audiences to handle. Quite a feat considering how the show was actually made for and from the perspective of American teens. Created by showrunner Sam Levinson for HBO back in June of 2019, Euphoria follows the lives of a group of high school students as they have experiences with sex, drugs, trauma, and an excellent array of dramatic scenarios. But Euphoria doesn't fall into the trap that usual teen dramas do, which we assume is why it was essentially labeled as being far too mature for the usual audiences. Like 13 Reasons Why, which is another controversial teen drama that came before it. Euphoria ensures that the experiences investigated are not downplayed. And even the show is essentially based on an Israeli series of the same name, the subject matter couldn't fit better in the American society that we have come to know over the years. The series stars Zendaya in the leading role, who skillfully portrays the role of Rue Bennett, the student around which most of these experiences appear to be taking place. We also experience the world through the eyes of characters such as Cassie, as portrayed by the beautiful Sydney Sweeney, and Nate Jacobs, as brought to life by the charismatic Jacob Elordi. Although one season of the series exists at the moment, a second installment is already in the works. And as controversial as it was considered to be, the series has become one of the most critically acclaimed teen shows in recent history. So if you've been looking for an explanation as to why the teenagers of today are in such bad shape mentally, look no further than Euphoria, which will have you begging for more in next to no time. Number 2. Outer Banks. Another impressive teen drama that has been making waves over the last few years is Outer Banks, which has fast become one of the flagship titles of the Netflix streaming platform. At its very base, the franchise took a look at the classist divide between the wealthy and poor of Outer Banks, a fictional island just off the coast of North Carolina. We experience life from the perspective of a group of kids known around town as the Pogues, a name that is used to differentiate them from the other rich kids that get everything handed to them. And it's looking through the glass that we get to experience a myriad of problems, from missing fathers to the difficulties of making it by each and every day. And then things start getting a little bit crazy when John B., as portrayed by the lovely Chase Stokes, falls head over heels in love with a wealthy girl by the name of Sarah Cameron, as brought to life by Madeline Klein. But that isn't the only action you'll come to experience, as the Pogues also stumble upon a couple of clues which sees them treasure hunting against some of the baddest guys you've ever seen before. Think of a cross between Degrassi High and National Treasure, featuring everything you might want, from an intriguing love story that breaks the classist barrier between the Pogues and the rest of the island, to action-packed car chases that help move the plot along at breakneck speeds. There is also a certain amount of mystery that is presented to the audience, as John B. comes to discover that his father had actually gone missing while searching for the very same treasure years ago. Suffice to say, there is a definite bigger picture in play when it comes to Outer Banks. But we don't want to give too much away in the description, so do us a favor and head on over to Netflix, where you'll be able to binge both seasons in no time. Then you can join us in hoping that season 3 will be confirmed in the next month or so. Number 3. Never Have I Ever. The next teen drama on our list is a lot less heavier than the other two and was actually created from the hilarious mind of Mindy Kaling, whom you might remember from the cast of The Office. We are of course referring to Never Have I Ever, which follows the classic formula of a coming-of-age story that is sure to keep you on your toes. What makes it different from the other franchises that shares this formula, though, is the fact that it is experienced from the perspective of a first-generation Indian-American high schooler. Although the critics have appreciated the show for different perspectives it has put forward, it must be said that it doesn't fall into the hole of exclusivity that other shows of the same subject matter might. In other words, it's not just Indian Americans that will enjoy the context of the show, and since it is loosely based on the childhood experiences of Mindy Kaling as she was growing up in the broader Boston area, it is also a show that comes from the heart. As of right now, a full 2 seasons of Never Have I Ever have been released, both of which revolve around the life of the 15-year-old Devi Vishwakumar, who's brought to life by the talented Maitreyi Ramikrishnan. Unfortunately for Devi, her father passes away pretty early on in the show, so we get to experience how it feels for a teenager like her to go through such an ordeal while trying to improve her social status after a terrible freshman year. It's an incredible series that not only explores the intricacies of being a teenager in the modern world, but also tackles the issues like identity and the like, which are not often tackled in large Hollywood productions. There's a reason why season 3 of the franchise is one of the most anticipated releases in the history of the Netflix streaming platform. platform after all, so we think it's about time that you gave it a chance yourself. And keep your ears peeled for the likes of John McEnroe, Andy Samberg, and Gigi Hadid, all of whom feature as narrators at some point or another. Just something else for you to look forward to. Number 4. Elite. And then we have all-out drama in the form of Elite, which is a Spanish teen thriller and drama that was created from the minds of Carlos Montero and Dario Madrona. Like Outer Banks, it has a lot to do with the meshing of lower and upper-class teenagers, which makes for some of the craziest scenarios you will ever see. The series is set in the fictional secondary school of Las Haciendas, which follows the lives of 3 working-class students who are enrolled in the elite school as a result of a scholarship program. Suffice to say, these students find that it's pretty hard to fit into a school where everyone already hates you for who you are and what you don't have. Like the teenage thriller that came before it, Elite also makes use of a flash-forward element, which creates a mystery that you will want to solve as you watch your favorite characters explore the ins and outs of Las Haciendas. Suffice to say, there's a lot more than drama that exists in the walls of the secondary school. In fact, you'll most certainly be surprised by the type of situations these teenagers are put into over the runtime of the show's 4 seasons. And since the 5th installment is looking to release next year, it goes without saying that there's no better time to catch up than now. Just keep in mind that this show is Spanish in origin, and while Netflix does have English dubbed episodes, the true experience is to watch the franchise in Spanish with English closed captions. We understand that it isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it certainly captures the incredible acting of cast members like Esther Esposito, Aaron Piper, and of course, Georgina Amos. It might seem like too much effort at first, but it gets easier with each and every episode. And we truly believe that the overall tone of the show is only captured by the original Spanish version. It's completely up to you though, as either way you'll be blessed with an amazing plot filled to the brim with the drama you've been craving. Number 5. Lock and Key. If you've been looking for something a bit more fantastical though, then look no further than Lock and Key, which is a supernatural horror based on the popular comic book series of the same name. The franchise is based on the lives of the Locke family, which comprises Nina and her 3 children, Tyler, Kinsey, and Bode, played by Connor Jessup, Emilia Jones, and Jackson Robert Scott, respectively. Having just moved to the famous Locke house due to the murder of their father, it goes without saying that their family is going through a pretty tough time. This is what leads to the usual teenage drama in the form of making friends and finding your place in a new area full of possibilities. What separates Lock and Key from the other teenage dramas on the list, though, is its supernatural element. You see, the Locke family comes to discover a number of keys, each of which have their own distinct abilities. What are they for? Who has awoken now that the keys have been discovered? Well, we're not here to give anything away, but expect a fascinating journey throughout the runtime of the first season. And since season 2 is likely going to release in October of this year, you won't have to wait long to see more of the Locke family after getting hooked on the first season. And did we mention that season 3 has already been confirmed by Netflix? That's just how great the concept of the franchise is. But what do you think about these new teenage television shows? Be sure to let us know in the comments section down below.